Hi there, everybody. This is Carrie Hamblen, the CEO and president of the Las Cruces Green Chamber of Commerce, coming to you again with another one of our Zoom chats. And man, oh man, am I so excited about introducing you to my dear friend, Ben Lewinger. He is the executive director of the New Mexico Cannabis Chamber of Commerce. And Ben and I have worked together on a number of things. Ben, it is so lovely to be working with you in this capacity. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm great. It's so good to be here, and what an occasion to bring our two organizations together to celebrate the end of prohibition and this new exciting industry that is, for New Mexico and for New Mexicans.
Absolutely. We're very excited about this. And you and I have been in conversation about this in a number of different, when I'm wearing a number of different hats. And so, when you told me that you were starting a cannabis chamber, I was really excited about it. And we've all obviously had a lot of conversations about structures of chambers and our purpose. And so tell me about how the cannabis chamber actually came to fruition, because there are some steps that had to happen in order for this to happen, right?
So you know that we've had a medical cannabis program in New Mexico since around 2009. It's grown into this wonderful thing that has very much been the model and envy of other states and their medical cannabis programs. So our organization exists at the request of the legislature. There were operators from the medical cannabis program who were very active from a policy perspective, making sure that the medical cannabis program continued to grow and continue to be good for the industry and good for patients. And at some point, legislators just said, hey, you guys need to get together, you need to organize, you need to start having these conversations on your own so you can present a unified front to our state legislature. And that was about 4.5 years ago. And then one of the operators, Rachel Spiegel, who's the CEO of the Verdes Foundation, she got together a small group of like-minded licensed cannabis businesses, and the rest is history. And I've been working with the chamber for about 3 years now. And we were absolutely implemental in legalizing cannabis, in helping the new Cannabis Control Division to draft thoughtful rules and regs. And I'm proud of how much we've accomplished in the 4 years that our organization has existed.
That's fantastic. And I think one of the things that's really important is that I know that, wearing the different hat that I wear as a state senator, is that my colleagues were all committed to making sure, because we know that there are things that are going to have to change every year, to modify, to adapt to this industry. And that's what, so many businesses have had to do, especially in the last 2 years. But when we start talking about a new industry like cannabis in New Mexico, we know that New Mexico is unlike any other state, and that we've got issues of acequias, of water accessibility, of, a number of things that those businesses have to navigate that most of your traditional brick and mortars don't. And so what have been some of the needs that you've been able to address as a chamber for those businesses since it became legal last year?
I think a big part of where we've probably been the most effective is helping people understand when it's not right to enter into the industry. The cannabis industry, all those things you mentioned, in addition to still being federally illegal, in addition to a little IRS tax code called 280E that makes it pretty much impossible for businesses to write off traditional business expenses. So I feel like a big part of what we've done is convince people that, if you do want to be an operator, you have to understand that everything in the industry is 20% more expensive and 15% more difficult to do. And you really need to budget for these things. And it's really not something that should be, taken lightly. It's a really competitive industry. It's highly regulated. And, I think that probably the only sad part about the way that our state has rolled this out is there's going to be lots of businesses who just weren't prepared to participate in the cannabis industry, who they unfortunately will likely close their doors within a few years. But I think, otherwise, I think what the chamber did really well is We were really active in 2019 when Governor Lujan Grisham convened her working group. And a big part of that working group was going to all these other states and exploring what other states have done. And I think where the chamber came in is we helped to apply some of that New Mexico wisdom. We helped to apply some of the lessons that we already know, living and growing and manufacturing cannabis products in New Mexico from the medical cannabis program, which again has been very active for 10 years now. And, I think there are over 130 patients still enrolled. And, even when we legalize, the medical cannabis program still continues to grow, which we haven't seen in other states. In other states that were medical first and then they legalized, you saw the patient numbers drop off pretty quickly, and we're still seeing new patients register. And part of that is because New Mexico has long recognized the healing properties of this amazing plant. And we've long recognized cannabis as medicine. And that's one of the reasons that the legislature, decided not to tax it. There's no excise tax or no ERT if you're a patient. And that's a big deal.
Right.
People who, use cannabis as medicine.
Right. And and my wife and I have been very clear about this. My wife has a medical card because of a traumatic brain injury several years ago, and will continue to use that because the medications also just for anxiety, for sleep, and I use it for sleep. I've been very open about that. I think we need to destigmatize cannabis use. And I think that more and more people who start disclosing that they use it. I don't use it to get, I use it to help me sleep because as an older person, I've become an insomniac and sleep is important to me. You've got 2 children, you know about sleep.
I know about sleep, and I've been a patient for 7 years now, and psoriatic arthritis is my qualifying condition. So I have autoimmune arthritis, and I always argue that any use of cannabis is medical use, whether you're treating, PTSD, which is a qualifying condition, or you're treating insomnia or anxiety. And cannabis is a lot better than some of the heavy drugs that people are prescribed to deal with these symptoms. So
I would much rather have a plant that is growing, naturally in my backyard than be dependent on big pharma any day. And so really grateful. I'm really grateful for all the work that you've been able to do through the Cannabis Chamber. And there's so much more to learn, because there are things that are changing. We are a state that's within a drought, that's experiencing a horrible drought. We knew this was coming. And then we all of a sudden a proven industry that has to use water. And, so we start weighing what's going to do. Is it going to be economic development? But then, something that came up in the legislature is the acequias and all the small farmers who are saying, hey, wait a minute, we've been growing food that people can eat and we need that water. So those are conversations that continue to happen. And I feel very confident that my colleagues in the legislature are committed to making sure that we address those and everything that is fair. And so, and I know that the Cannabis Chamber also has those conversations. So you've been doing these Mary Jane mixes. And so tell me about how those started, and then we'll start talking about ours because I'm very excited that we're going to do this next week.
Yeah, I'm excited too. We started the Mary Jane Mingles kind of right before COVID. I think we had a couple successful ones, and then COVID happened, and we quickly shifted to virtual, which is great. We're a statewide organization, so we love being able to share lunch and learns and other type of more technical programming virtually. But there was a big hole and a big vacuum for these Mary Jane Mingles, and we started them up again last year, and they've been really well attended. And we don't have a lot of programming. I think the goal with the Mary Jane Mingle is to create this sacred space where like-minded people can get together, celebrate the end of prohibition, talk about their businesses, whether you're a new licensed operator or whether you build websites or you're a designer and you want to take these skills from your business and figure out how to kind of translate them into this exciting new industry. And that's really it. We just create this space and kind of magic happens, and they continue to grow. And I've seen it. I've seen deals being made. I've seen connections being made. And, because of my role at the chamber, I can then see those connections that I witnessed with my eyes and ears play out into new opportunities for businesses to come together. And especially when, this industry is so new and there's so many unknowns and it's so difficult. Those kind of supports and those kind of one-on-one relationships are more important, I would say, than any other industry right now in New Mexico. So we're really happy to facilitate and really happy to have you host us in the southern part of the state.
Oh, we are very excited about this. And, and that is the whole point of a chamber, is to connect people, to make it so that it's easier for them to do their business, whatever their business is. And so, Max Bauer and his whole crew and his family are hosting us at the Amador Patio Bar and Grill on Wednesday, July 12th. And Wednesday, July 12th, right? Tuesday, July 12th. My apologies. I'm moving the calendar ahead a year. So we are going to be on July 12th at the Amador Patio Bar and Grill here in beautiful downtown Las Cruces, and it starts at 5:30 to 7:30. Now, what I don't want folks to think of is that we're all going to be just blazing away at this, because that's not what the point is. The point is to connect people. This is not a smoking event. This is not appropriate for us. If people think that, I don't want that to happen. The whole point is to connect people with each other in southern New Mexico, and also get you access to the resources and provide you with information that you might want to know about in terms of the cannabis industry. And so what can folks expect? So we start at 5:30. We've got some things that you and I are going to be doing beforehand, but we're going to start at 5:30. And what can folks expect at this event?
They can expect good times, great personalities. Everybody's going to get a drink ticket with their registration, and we have raffle items and some different kinds of games that we'll incorporate in, and some words from our sponsors. But really, minimal programming. This is genuinely a place for people to get together, to celebrate how far we've come together. And really the industry is very competitive, but New Mexico as a state needs to start looking beyond that. We need to start thinking for interstate commerce between states that have legalized cannabis. We need to start thinking about international commerce with Mexico, legalizing soon. We need to start thinking about what the future is going to look like when cannabis is descheduled and when prohibition is ended across the country, and how New Mexico, with its agrarian heritage and its ideal growing conditions, is going to be part of the national cannabis industry. So I think a big theme for this event in particular is going to be unity. It's going to be helping people understand that when all boats rise, and really looking forward to a future that I think is a lot sooner than most people expect when cannabis is federally legal across the country.
Well, we're seeing the same pattern that happened actually with same-sex marriage, is that, states started legalizing it and then it went federally. So I do see some similarities there. So Ben, I'm very excited about you coming down next week, and we're going to start promoting it. If you are a member of the Las Cruces Green Chamber, you can register for the event. You'll get a special code that will get you a free drink ticket. If you're not a member, you can still come. It's only $10 to come. But this is an opportunity to network, to get to know other businesses, to start having those conversations if you are interested in the cannabis industry. Because although it is complex and it's a little bit of a challenge to navigate, we've got people like Ben who can help you do that. So we're going to have a whole bunch of people there, and we'd love to see you there. You'll have the information either above or below, all depending on how you are looking at this and on what platform. And Ben, I can't wait to see your face in person, and safe travels down. And thank you for being part of the Zoom chat.
Thank you. Can't wait. Pumped.
All right. We'll see you soon.